The conference room fell silent as the holographic image flickered to life. Representatives from 47 different species watched the projection with cold, calculating eyes. The planet 7 rotated slowly in the center of the chamber, its once blue surface now turning gray and lifeless. Captain Park sat in the human delegation section, his jaw tight as he listened to the Galactic Council's debate. Next to him, Doctor clutched a data tablet, her knuckles white from gripping it too hard. Across the circular chamber, stood ready to speak on behalf of humanity. "The radiation levels continue to rise," announced the Council's scientific advisor, a tall creature with silver skin and no visible mouth. Its words came through a translator device. "The population has declined from 40 million to approximately 2 million. They have 8 months before the planet becomes completely uninhabitable." Leaned forward, 8 months, 2 million lives, the numbers burned in his mind. A representative from the Empire rose, its massive frame casting shadows across the floor. "The Council has reviewed this matter thoroughly," it said, its voice deep and rumbling. "Relocation of the would require significant resources: food, shelter, transportation, and land. The cost is too high." "Too high," stood up, her voice sharp. "We're talking about an entire civilization, millions of living beings." The turned its large head toward her. "They possess no advanced technology. They have no valuable resources to trade. They cannot contribute to galactic commerce or defense. Relocation would be economically unfeasible." Whispered two, "They're going to let them die. They're actually going to abandon them." Watched as other council members nodded in agreement with the. A few looked uncomfortable, but none spoke up. He had seen this before in his 20 years of space service. The Galactic Council operated on cold logic and mutual benefit. Compassion was not part of their equation. "The Council has received 3 years of distress calls from 7, another representative added. "No species has volunteered to assist. The matter is settled. We will archive this as a natural disaster beyond our control." "Natural disaster," his voice rose. "You're choosing not to help them. That's not nature, that's murder." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Several representatives demanded be removed for her outburst. Stood, placing a hand on her shoulder. She was shaking with rage. The council arbiter, a named, raised one clawed hand for silence. "The human delegation forgets its place. You are new to this council. You do not understand how the galaxy works. Resources are limited. We must make difficult choices. They are a regrettable loss, but we cannot save every dying species." Stared at for a long moment. Then she gathered her papers and walked toward the exit. "If this is how the galaxy works," she said quietly, "then the galaxy is broken." And followed her out. The massive doors of the council chamber closed behind them with a heavy thud. In the corridor outside, leaned against the wall, breathing hard. 3 years, she said. "They've been calling for help for 3 years and nobody came." Pulled up data on her tablet. "They are a peaceful species. They've never developed weapons. Their technology is basic. They're farmers and artists. They build with stone and wood. They sing." Her voice cracked. "They sing. I've listened to their broadcasts. They have children who sing." Looked at both women. He had served with for 6 years. She was the finest in the fleet, brilliant and dedicated. Had fought for 3 years to get humanity a seat at the Galactic Council, believing it would help Earth work with other species for the common good. Now both of them looked devastated. "Show me everything we have on the set." Back on the research vessel Endeavour, gathered his senior staff. The ship hung in orbit around the Council's space station, a sleek vessel designed for long-range exploration and scientific study. Brought up images of on the main screen. They were small beings, barely 4 feet tall, with soft gray skin and large, gentle eyes. They had 4-fingered hands and walked upright. They looked fragile, almost childlike. "Their planet is dying because a nearby star went supernova 2 years ago," explained. The radiation wave hit 7 and destroyed their ozone layer. Now cosmic radiation is slowly poisoning everything. The plants are dying. The water is becoming toxic. They're starving. Lee, the ship's chief engineer, studied the planetary data. The radiation levels are increasing exponentially. In 8 months, maybe less, nothing will survive there. Song, head of security, crossed her arms. What's the evacuation plan? How many ships would we need? For 2 million beings, calculated quickly. At least 40 transport ships, maybe more. We'd need food, medical supplies, temporary housing. And that's just for the journey. They'd need a new planet, agricultural equipment, everything. The council won't help, said bitterly. I already asked. They voted unanimously to do nothing. Stood at the viewing window, looking out at the stars. He thought about his grandfather, who had survived a terrible war on Earth. His grandfather always said that the measure of a person was what they did when it cost them something to be kind. Captain's voice was soft. What are you thinking? Turned to face his crew. These were people he trusted with his life. Good people. People who joined the space service to explore, to learn, to make connections with other species, not to stand by while millions died. I'm thinking that the council is wrong, he said. And I'm thinking that if nobody else will help then we will. The room went quiet. Sir said carefully, the council was clear. They won't support this. I know. Earth's government might not approve, added. We could face sanctions. I know that too. Looked at him with sudden hope in her eyes. You're serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Move to the communications console. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we're requesting support for a rescue mission to 7. Start working on evacuation logistics. Find us a planet that can support somewhere safe. And if Earth Command says no, asked. Smiled grimly. Then we do it anyway, set course for 7, maximum speed. As the Endeavor's engines powered up, pulled up this distress signal one more time. Through the static and interference, a voice spoke in a language the translator struggled to interpret, but the emotion was clear. Fear, desperation, hope. We're coming, whispered to the recording. Hold on, we're coming. The ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving the council station behind. In the conference room, Arbiter received news of the human vessel's departure. He dismissed it with a gesture. Humans were young and foolish. They would learn, eventually, that compassion was a luxury the galaxy could not afford. But did not know humans very well, and he was about to discover that humanity's compassion was not a weakness. It was their greatest strength. And they would move mountains, fight armies, and defy the entire galaxy to prove it. The Endeavor dropped out of hyperspace 3 days later. 7 filled a world that should have been beautiful but now looked sick. Gray clouds covered most of the surface. What should have been green forests appeared brown and withered. The oceans had taken on a strange, dull color. Stood on the bridge studying the planet. Life signs. Detecting approximately 2 million, reported from her science station. They're concentrated in 3 main settlements near the equator. Those areas still have some protection from the radiation, but it's failing fast. Any response to our hails? Asked. The communications officer, a young woman named, shook her head. No response yet, sir. They might not trust us. According to records, 6 different species promised to help them over the past 2 years. All of them left without doing anything. Felt a flash of anger. 6 species had come here, looked at the dying, and decided they weren't worth saving. He walked to the communications console. Keep trying. Use every frequency we have. Tell them we're here to help. Tell them we're not leaving. Down on the planet's surface, in the largest remaining settlement, Keeper stood in what remained of the central gathering place. He was old for his skin lined with age, his large eyes tired. Around him, his people went about their daily tasks with quiet resignation. They had stopped hopping for rescue. A young named Lyra ran toward him. "Keeper, another ship has arrived in orbit. They say they want to help." Felt a familiar pain in his chest. Hope and disappointment mixed together. How many times have we heard those words, child? But Keeper, they're different. They're human. They're broadcasting on all channels. They say they're not leaving until we're safe. Touched the meditation stone he wore around his neck. They had a gift, one they rarely spoke about to outsiders. They could sense emotions, feel the truth behind words. It was why so many species felt uncomfortable around them. Lies and hidden motives became obvious in his presence. "Prepare the greeting chamber," said quietly. "Let us see if these humans speak truth." 2 hours later, a shuttle descended through Seven's toxic atmosphere, piloted it himself, with an accompanying him. They wore environmental suits rated for the radiation levels, but the suits felt inadequate. Through the viewport, they could see dead forests and dried riverbeds. "This planet is dying faster than the projections suggested," said, checking her instruments. "The radiation has accelerated. They might have less than 8 months." The settlement appeared ahead. It was built from stone and clay, simple but elegant. The buildings had curved walls and arched doorways. Gardens sat between structures, though most of the plants were dead or dying. Moved through the streets, thin and weak, but still maintaining their daily routines. The shuttle landed in a cleared area and stepped out. A crowd of it gathered, keeping a respectful distance. They were smaller than expected, coming up to about chest height on the humans. Their gray skin had a soft, almost fuzzy texture. Their eyes were enormous and dark, filled with intelligence and sadness. An elderly stepped forward. He wore simple robes and carried a wooden staff. "I am Keeper," he said in heavily accented but understandable Galactic common. "You are the humans." Removed his helmet, breathing the planet's thin, contaminated air. Made a sound of protest, but he ignored her. If he was asking them to trust him, he needed to show trust first. "I am Captain Park," he said. "We've come to help you, all of you. We want to relocate your people to a safe world." Stared at him. The old's eyes seemed to look straight through him. It was an uncomfortable feeling, like being examined at a deep level. Held the gaze, letting the Keeper see whatever he needed to see. After a long moment's expression changed. His eyes widened. "You truly mean this. I feel no deception in you, only compassion, determination." The Keeper's voice shook. Why would you help us? We have nothing to give you." "Because it's the right thing to do," said simply. His legs seemed to give out. He sat down hard on the ground, others rushed forward, but he waved them away. When he looked up, tears ran down his face. 3 years we have called for help. So many species came. They all felt the same. Calculation, assessment of value, cold logic, but you," he touched his chest. "You feel different. Humans feel different." Knelt beside the Keeper. "What do you mean? What do you feel?" Looked at her, then at the crowd of humans and gathering around them. "We have a gift. We sense emotions. We feel truth. It is why others fear us. They do not like being known so clearly." He touched his hand. "You feel curiosity and care. He pointed at, feels protective anger. And you, Captain, feel responsibility and stubborn kindness. You will not break your word. You cannot. It is not in your nature." Helped to his feet. "Then you understand we're serious. We need to start evacuation procedures immediately. We have 8 months, maybe less." 8 months to move 2 million people. Looked doubtful. "Do you have that many ships?" "Not yet," admitted. "But more are coming. Earth has approved the mission. We're sending out a call to all human colonies and vessels. Everyone who can help is coming." Over the next 2 weeks, the scene above Seven transformed. Human ships began arriving. Transport vessels, cargo haulers, private ships, military escorts. They came from Earth, from Mars, from the colonies in the outer systems. Some were official government ships. Others were privately owned, piloted by volunteers who heard about thee and wanted to help. On the planet's surface, and his engineering team worked around the clock. They built temporary shelters with radiation shielding. They set up medical facilities where and her doctors could treat sick. They installed water purification systems and brought food from human supply ships. Organized the logistics. She created evacuation schedules, mapped out the safest routes, and coordinated with the growing fleet in orbit. It was a massive undertaking, but she approached it with military precision. Spent his days meeting with community leaders, explaining the plan. They would be taken to a planet called New Haven, a human colony world with similar gravity and atmosphere to Seven. It had vast open spaces and rich soil. The human colonists there had already volunteered to share their world. "Why are you doing this?" asked a young mother named. She held her child close, protective and afraid. "What do you want from us?" Crouched down to her level. "We want you to live. We want your children to grow up safe. That's all." Studied him with those penetrating eyes. Then she started crying. "I feel it. You truly want nothing but our safety. There's no hidden price, no secret demand, just kindness." She reached out and touched his face. "You humans are strange and wonderful." Word reached the Galactic Council quickly. Received an official communication demanding that Earth cease its unauthorized intervention. She deleted it without responding. Then came the threats. The Council placed trade restrictions on Earth. They human ships access to certain trade routes. They pressured other species not to assist the rescue effort. But something unexpected happened. 3 small species, ones that had little power in the Council, quietly sent aid to 7. They provided food, medical supplies, and even a few ships. They didn't announce it publicly, but their help made a difference. One evening, as the sun set over the dying planet, found standing alone outside the main settlement. The captain was looking up at the fleet of human ships orbiting overhead, now numbering over 60 vessels. "You have started something, Captain Park," said softly. "What do you mean?" "For years, the galaxy has operated on cold logic. The strong survive. The weak perish. Resources go to those who can pay, but you humans have shown something different. You have shown that compassion can be stronger than calculation, that kindness can move mountains." Smiled tiredly. "We're just doing what we believe is right." "Yes," agreed. "And that is why you are dangerous to the Council. You prove their way is not the only way. You show that another path is possible." He touched his arm. "They will not forgive you for this. The Council will push back. They will try to stop you." "Let them try," said quietly. "We're not stopping, not until every is safe." Far away, in the Council chambers, Arbiter reviewed reports of the human activity at 7. His face twisted in anger. The humans were making the Council look weak and cruel. Other species were starting to question the decision to abandon the. Some were even praising the human action. This could not be allowed to continue. The Council's authority depended on everyone following the rules. If compassion became acceptable, if rescue missions became expected, the entire system would collapse. Resources would be wasted on species that could not contribute. Chaos would follow. Made his decision. He sent orders to the fleet. The humans would be stopped. They would be left to their fate. And the galaxy would learn that defying the Council had consequences. Severe consequences. The message arrived 3 weeks into the evacuation effort. Was in the command center on the planet's surface when rushed in, her face pale. "Captain, you need to see this. It's from the Galactic Council. Priority urgent." Activated the holographic display. Arbiter's massive form appeared, his expression cold and angry. "Captain Park of Earth," his voice rumbled through the speakers. "The Galactic Council has issued an official embargo against your planet. All trade with Earth is suspended immediately. All human ships are banned from Council space. Furthermore, you are in violation of Protocol 7, interference with natural evolutionary processes. You have 24 hours to withdraw from 7 or face military consequences." The message ended. The command center fell silent. Broke the quiet. Natural evolutionary processes. They're not even trying to hide behind good reasoning anymore. They're just angry we made them look bad. Pulled up tactical displays. If they send warships, we have a problem. Most of our fleet here is transport vessels. We have maybe 5 ships with any real defensive capability. How many have we evacuated so far? Asked. Checked his data. About 800,000. We're making good progress, but we're not even halfway done. We need at least 4 more months. Then we stay, said firmly. Captain's voice was careful. The Council has the largest military force in the galaxy. If they send the fleet, then we face them. Looked around at his team. I need you all to understand something. I won't order anyone to risk their life if they don't want to. Any ship that wants to leave can go. Any crew member who wants to transfer out can do so. No judgment, but I'm staying. They need us. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke of leaving. Smiled. Where else would we go? We've come this far. I didn't join the space service to run away from hard choices, added. Straightened her uniform. I'll start preparing defensive positions. If they want to fight, we'll give them one they won't forget. Back on Earth, the news of the Council's embargo caused chaos. The government held emergency meetings. Some officials argued they should order the fleet home to avoid conflict. Others said abandoning the now would be a betrayal of everything humanity stood for. The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Millions of people took to the streets in protest. They demanded their government support the rescue mission. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers, wanting to join the effort. Supplies poured in from around the world. Admiral Sora Han, commander of Earth's Defense Fleet, watched the protests from her office. She was a veteran of 30 years, calm and strategic. She had fought pirates, negotiated with hostile species, and kept Earth safe through difficult times. Now she faced the biggest decision of her career. She opened a secure channel to the Council chambers, appeared on the screen, looking exhausted but determined. What's the situation? Sora asked. They're serious, Admiral. The Council is preparing to use force. The Empire is mobilizing its fleet. They're calling it a peacekeeping operation to enforce Council law. How long do we have? Gave 24 hours. That was 6 hours ago. Sora made her decision. I'm taking the Third Fleet to 7, all available ships. We're not abandoning our people. His eyes widened. Admiral, that could start a war. Then it starts a war, Sora said quietly. But we won't stand by while the Council threatens our ships for the crime of saving lives. At 7, the human crews worked faster. They knew time was running out. Every shuttle ran continuous trips between the surface and the transport ships. Medical teams worked in shifts, treating sick and injured. Engineers built more temporary shelters for those still waiting to evacuate. They watched in amazement. They had never seen such dedication from any other species. Humans went without sleep to help them. They shared their food. They carried children when they were too weak to walk. They stayed when the galaxy told them to leave. Stood on a hill overlooking the main settlement. The evacuation was a constant flow of activity. Ships landed, loaded passengers, and launched again in an endless cycle. Your people are remarkable, said. You face the anger of the entire Council, and yet you continue. The Council is wrong, replied. Someone needs to show them that. You understand this may destroy you. Earth could lose everything: trade, allies, protection. Looked at the elderly keeper. What good is all that if we lose our humanity? What's the point of being part of a galactic community if that community has no compassion? Felt the truth in those words. He felt the stubborn, beautiful determination that drove the humans. They would not bend. They would not break. They would do what was right even if it cost them everything. I wish all species had hearts like yours, said softly. 18 hours after the Council's ultimatum, the fleet arrived. 23 warships dropped out of hyperspace, massive and powerful. They were ships built for war, covered in weapons, designed to intimidate and destroy. The human fleet at 7 looked pitiful in comparison. Transport ships, cargo haulers, a few escorts, nothing that could stand against military might. Its voice broadcast across all frequencies. Human vessels, this is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or you will be fired upon. This is not negotiable. On the Endeavor's bridge looked at his crew. Any ship that wants to leave can go now. Last chance. Not a single ship broke formation. Opened a channel to the fleet. Arbiter, we will not abandon these people. We are engaged in a humanitarian mission. Attacking us would be a war crime. You are in violation of council law, responded. You have no authority here. Stand down. No. The word hung in the air. Simple, final, absolute. His anger was clear in his voice. You foolish humans. You risk everything for beings who cannot even defend themselves, for a species with nothing to offer. You throw away your future for sentiment. We call it compassion, said. You should try it sometime. On 7's surface, organize the evacuation crews into emergency protocols. If shooting started, they needed to get as many off the planet as possible before ships were destroyed. Worked in the medical center, trying not to think about the warships overhead. She focused on the young girl in front of her, sick from radiation exposure but finally stable enough to travel. Ran final checks on the atmospheric processors. Even if the humans had to leave, maybe they could buy a few more weeks with the equipment they'd installed. Then something unexpected happened. A new fleet emerged from hyperspace, but these weren't council ships. They were from smaller, independent species. The same 3 species that had quietly sent aid before now sent their own ships. A transmission came through. Human vessels, this is Captain of the Republic. We stand with you. The Council's actions here are wrong. We will not let them attack you without consequence. More ships appeared. 5 species. 10. Then 15. Small species, ones with little power in the Council, but they came anyway. They positioned themselves between the humans and the fleet. Stared at the tactical display in amazement. Are they really doing this? They are, confirmed, her voice filled with wonder. They're forming a defensive line. Another transmission. Humans, this is the delegation. We have watched your actions with great interest. You showed compassion when the powerful showed none. Today, we choose to stand with compassion. His voice roared across the channel. You species dare defy the Council. You will all face sanctions, trade restrictions, diplomatic isolation. Then we face them together, Captain responded calmly. The Council has forgotten that power without compassion is tyranny. Today, we remember. But the fleet did not back down, gave the order. All ships prepare to fire, target the human vessels first, make an example of them. The warships powered up their weapons. The smaller Allied ships raised shields but didn't have firepower to match. It looked like a massacre was about to begin. Then the space around 7 lit up with new arrivals. Dozens of ships emerged from hyperspace all at once, but these were military vessels. Fast, armed, and powerful, Earth's defense fleet had arrived. Admiral Sarahan's voice broadcast with calm authority. Fleet, this is Admiral Sarahan of Earth's Defense Forces. You will stand down immediately. Any aggressive action toward our vessels or our allies will be met with overwhelming force. His heart pounded. Sora had brought the entire Third Fleet. Humanity's most powerful warships now stood between thee and the rescue operation. The space around the dying planet had become a standoff. 2 major military powers facing each other. Smaller species caught in between. And on the planet below, 2 million waiting to see if the galaxy would save them or destroy those who tried. His message was cold. You have made your choice, humans. The Council will remember this betrayal. We will isolate Earth. We will ensure you face consequences for years to come. We can live with that, Sora responded. Can you live with the blood of innocent people on your hands? Because if you fire on us, the galaxy will see the truth. The mighty council attacking rescuers, threatening species for showing compassion. That truth will spread, and you'll never recover from it. The fleet held position, weapons charged but not firing. The tension was unbearable. One wrong move, one nervous weapons officer, and the first shot would trigger a war that could consume the galaxy. Minutes passed like hours, then finally gave the order. All ships withdraw, we will pursue this matter through diplomatic channels. The fleet turned and jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind a trembling calm. Exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. They had done it. They had faced down the council and survived, but he knew this was just the beginning. The real battle was about to start. The standoff bought them 3 weeks, 3 precious weeks of continuous evacuation work. The human fleet, now protected by Admiral Sora's warships and supported by 17 smaller species, worked day and night. The number of rescued climbed to 1,500,000, more than halfway done, but still so many left. On Earth stood before the Galactic Council one last time. The chamber was tense. Many species avoided her eyes, others glared openly. She didn't care anymore. She had come to say her piece. For 3 years the call for help, she began, her voice steady and clear. Not one of you answered. Not one of you considered their lives worth saving. You made calculations about value and resources. You forgot the most basic truth of civilization. We are judged not by how we treat the powerful, but by how we treat the powerless. Arbiter leaned forward, his massive form threatening. The human speaks of civilization while defying the laws that maintain order. You have disrupted the council. You have encouraged rebellion. Species that should know their place now question our authority. Good, said simply. Your authority deserves to be questioned when it stands for nothing but cold calculation, when it values profit over life, when it abandons entire civilizations to die. She looked around the chamber. How many of you sleep well knowing you condemned 2 million innocent beings to death? A few representatives shifted uncomfortably. Most remained still and silent. Earth withdraws from the Galactic Council, announced. Effective immediately. We will not be part of a system that calls compassion a crime. Any species that wishes to stand with us, that believes in helping others, is welcome to join us in forming a new alliance. One based on mutual support and shared values, not cold profit. She turned and walked out. Behind her, the council chamber erupted in angry voices, but she also heard something else. 3 species called for a recess. 5 more requested private meetings with the human delegation. The seeds of change had been planted. Back at 7, the situation grew more complicated. The radiation levels were accelerating faster than predicted. The planet's magnetic field was collapsing. They had weeks, not months. Worked frantically with his engineering teams. We need to speed up. The northern settlement is becoming uninhabitable. We need to evacuate those in the next 48 hours or we'll lose them. Made the call. All ships, priority evacuation of the northern region. Medical teams prepare for increased radiation sickness. We're going into the worst affected area. Assembled her medical staff. We'll see severe cases. Burns, radiation poisoning, organ failure. We save as many as we can. No one gets left behind. The evacuation of the northern settlement was brutal. The humans wore heavy radiation suits but could only work in short shifts. Even with protection, the exposure levels were dangerous. They carried who couldn't walk. They loaded entire families into shuttles while the sky above glowed with strange colors from the radiation storms. Led a security team deep into the settlement. They found a group of trapped in a collapsed building. We have survivors here, she called into her communicator. I need emergency extraction, Section 4. The building was unstable, ready to fall completely, and her team worked to clear debris, racing against time. A young boy stared up at her with terrified eyes. She picked him up carefully. I've got you, You're safe now." As they exited the building, it collapsed behind them, felt the boy trembling in her arms. "My mother," he whispered. "She's still inside." His heart broke, but she kept moving. "We'll find her, I promise." She handed the boy to another security officer. "Get him to the shuttle. I'm going back in." "No," the officer protested. "It's too unstable." But was already moving, climbing through rubble and twisted metal. She found the boy's mother pinned under fallen stones, barely conscious, badly hurt, grabbed her, using all her strength to lift the woman and carry her out just as the rest of the structure fell. The boy cried when he saw his mother, collapsed, her radiation exposure at dangerous levels. Medics rushed forward to help both the woman and— "You're insane," one of the medics said, checking suit readings. "You'll be sick for days." Watched the boy hold his mother's hand. Both of them were being loaded onto a medical shuttle. Both of them would live. "Worth it," she said. But then the fleet returned. This time they brought more ships, 37 warships, heavily armed and ready for battle. His message was clear and cold. "Humans, your defiance ends today. You have stolen resources. You have corrupted council members. You have violated our laws. The council has authorized military action. Surrender now or be destroyed." Admiral Sora studied the tactical display on her flagship. They outnumbered them, but not by much. The question was whether they would really open fire. Would they risk a full war with humanity? "All ships battle stations," Sora ordered. "Defensive formation. Protect the transport vessels at all costs." The Allied ships from the 17 smaller species moved into position alongside the human fleet. They were united now, bound by a common cause. They would not let the Council stop the rescue. On 7 made quick decisions. Evacuate all non-essential personnel. Medical teams stay until the last possible moment. Engineering teams prepare for emergency shutdown of all equipment. If this goes bad, we need everyone off the surface fast. Found in the command center, the old keeper placed his hand on his arm. "I need to tell you something about our people's gift." Now was distracted, watching fleet movements on displays. Now insisted, "We can sense emotions at a distance, not just individuals, groups, entire populations. Right now I sense the fleet, they feel." He paused, searching for words. "Uncertain, aggressive, yes, but also afraid. They fear what you represent." "What do we represent?" "Change, hope, a galaxy where their power means nothing compared to compassion." Eyes were intense. "And I sense something else. Among their fleet, some individuals feel doubt. They question their orders. The cracks in the Council's unity run deeper than they show." Before could respond, the fleet attacked. But they didn't target the human warships. They fired on the transport vessels, the unarmed civilian ships carrying rescued to safety. "All ships evasive action," Sora commanded. "Return fire, protect the transports." The battle exploded across space. Human warships moved to intercept, their weapons blazing. The smaller allied species fought with everything they had. It wasn't a fair fight, but it was a brave one. On the Endeavor felt helpless. His ship was designed for research, not combat. He could only watch as the battle unfolded, knowing that good people were dying up there. Then something extraordinary happened. A group of children in the main settlement began to sing. It was their traditional song of hope, one they sang in times of darkness. The sound was beautiful and haunting. More joined in, hundreds then thousands. The song spread across the planet, and something strange occurred. The sympathetic abilities, amplified by their combined emotions, reached into space. They touched the minds of everyone in the battle. Human pilots felt this gratitude and hope. It strengthened their resolve, sharpened their focus. They fought harder, knowing exactly what they were protecting. The allied species felt it too. Their doubt vanished. They were no longer small powers fighting a bigger enemy. They were defenders of the innocent, and they would not fail. But the fleet felt it most strongly. The emotions washed over them: fear, pain, desperate hope, gratitude toward the humans who saved them. The who had prided themselves on cold logic suddenly felt the weight of what they were doing. They were killing rescuers. They were attacking those who showed compassion. 2 ships suddenly stopped firing, then 3 more. Then an entire squadron broke formation and Arbiter screamed orders. All ships maintain fire, do not break ranks, this is treason. But the cracks were showing. More ships hesitated. Their commanders felt the doubt. They felt the wrongness of their actions. The sympathetic wave had exposed the truth they tried to ignore. Admiral Sara saw the opportunity. All ships cease fire but maintain defensive positions. Let them see we won't shoot first. The human fleet stopped attacking. The Allied ships followed suit. They held position, shields up but weapons silent. The message was clear: we'll defend ourselves but we won't be aggressors. The fleet was in chaos. Half had stopped firing. Half were still attacking but without coordination. Authority was crumbling in real time. Then did something no one expected. He contacted directly, using this natural ability to project emotions. The old keeper reached across space, touching the Arbiter's mind with the full weight of gratitude and human compassion. Felt it, he felt what the humans felt when they looked at dying children. He felt what they felt when they thought all hope was lost, then saw human ships arriving. He felt compassion, something he had dismissed as weakness, and it was more powerful than any weapon. The Arbiter's hands shook. For the first time in decades, he questioned everything he believed. The certainty that had guided his life cracked and broke. All ships, his voice was quiet, almost broken. Cease fire, withdraw to neutral positions. The battle ended. Both fleets hung in space, weapons cooling, shields still up, but no longer trying to kill each other. On 7, the evacuation continued. The humans had won, not through superior firepower, but through the strength of their convictions and the unexpected power of compassion. The galaxy would never be quite the same again. With the threat neutralized, the final phase of the evacuation began. Every human ship worked at maximum capacity. Admiral Sara's fleet stood watch, making sure no one interfered. The Allied species helped however they could. 4 weeks later, the last shuttle lifted off from 7. The last group of left their dying home, looking back at the planet where their species had lived for. It was heartbreaking and hopeful at the same time. Stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, watching the planet recede. Beside him, Keeper touched the viewing screen one last time. "Our home is gone," said softly, "but our people live because of you." "Because we did what was right," corrected. "Anyone with compassion would have done the same." "But only humans actually did it," replied. "That is the difference." The fleet set course for New Haven. 2 million, all saved, all safe, heading toward a new beginning. And behind them the galaxy was changing. 6 months had passed since the last left 7. The dying planet was now completely lifeless, its surface scorched by radiation, its oceans turned to poison. But its people lived on, thriving on a new world. New Haven had transformed. The human colonists had welcomed them with open arms. Together, they built settlements that blended both cultures. Human engineering combined with artistic sensibility created beautiful, practical buildings. The agricultural zones flourished as farming knowledge helped the crops grow stronger. Walked through the main settlement, watching children play. Human and kids ran together, laughing and shouting. It was a sound he never got tired of hearing, the sound of life, of hope. "Captain Park," a young girl ran up to him. She was Lyra, the one who had first told Keeper about the human arrival. She looked healthy now, her gray skin no longer dull, her eyes bright and full of energy. "Look what I learned." She held out her hand, and in her palm was a small flower made of folded paper. "Origami, a human art form. Taught me. She said it's called a crane, but I made a flower instead." Smiled. "It's beautiful, Lyra. You're a natural artist." The girl beamed and ran off to show others her creation, continued walking, his heart full. This was why they had risked everything, for moments like this, for children who got to grow up, for a species that got to survive. He reached the community center where a meeting was taking place. Inside, representatives from 28 different species had gathered. These were the species that had the council, the ones who chose compassion over compliance. They called themselves the Compassionate Coalition, and they were drafting a new charter. Stood at the front, leading the discussion. She had aged in the past 6 months, stress adding lines to her face, but she looked happier than had ever seen her. "The coalition will operate on 3 core principles," she explained. "First, mutual defense. We protect each other from aggression. Second, shared resources. We help species in need without demanding payment. Third, voluntary membership. Any species that shares our values can join. Any species can leave if they wish." A representative from the Republic raised a concern. The Galactic Council still holds significant power. They control major trade routes. They have the largest military forces. How do we survive against that? Admiral Sara stepped forward. By being better than them. The Council rules through fear and economic pressure. We'll build something based on trust and cooperation. It won't be easy, but it will be stronger in the long run. Another representative spoke up. This one was from a species that had recently left the Council. Since the 7 incident, 12 more species have withdrawn from the Council. The Empire has lost significant influence. Some Council members are calling for reform. The galaxy is changing. "Good," said, "but we can't rely on the Council changing. We build our own path. We prove that compassion isn't weakness, it's strength." The vote was unanimous. The Compassionate Coalition was officially formed. Earth would serve as the coordinating headquarters, but decision-making would be shared equally among all member species. After the meeting, found in one of the research centers, she was working with a scientist named, studying the empathic abilities. "We've made a breakthrough," said excitedly, "that can actually teach their empathic sense to other species. It's not biological, it's a learned skill. They've been doing it naturally for so long, they didn't realize other species could develop it." Was stunned. "You mean humans can learn to sense emotions like the do?" "With training, yes," demonstrated, touching his hand. "Focus on the connection, feel what I feel. It takes practice, but it's possible." Closed his eyes and tried to concentrate. At first, nothing. Then very faintly he felt something, a warmth, curiosity, friendly interest. Emotions clear as words but deeper, more genuine. "I feel it," whispered. "This is incredible." "Imagine what this means for diplomacy," said. "No more lies, no more hidden agendas. People would have to be honest because their emotions would reveal the truth." This will change everything, realized. This gift isn't just for them. It's something they can share with the galaxy. News of the empathic training spread quickly. Species from across the coalition wanted to learn. The once considered valueless by the Council now had something unique to offer. Their gift for emotional truth became the foundation of coalition diplomacy. On Earth, public support for the coalition was overwhelming. Humans felt proud of what their people had done. They celebrated the rescue as one of humanity's finest moments. New recruits flooded the space service, wanting to be part of something larger than themselves. Had recovered from her radiation exposure. She now led a new coalition security force, training members from different species to work together. Her near-death experience saving the boy and his mother had made her something of a legend. When asked about it, she just shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. But that wasn't true, and everyone knew it. Not anyone would have gone back into a collapsing building. Not anyone would have risked their life for an alien child. That was what made humanity special. That was what inspired others. Had stayed on New Haven, helping build the infrastructure for the growing settlement. He worked alongside engineers, learning their techniques while teaching them human technology. The exchange was beneficial for both species. Human efficiency combined with sustainability created something better than either could achieve alone. One evening, Keeper requested a meeting with. They met on a hill overlooking the settlement, watching the sun set over New Haven's purple sky. "I wanted to thank you properly," began, "not just for my people but for what you've done to the galaxy itself." "We just saved some lives," said modestly. No, shook his head. "You changed everything. For centuries the galaxy operated on cold logic. The strong dominated, the weak suffered, species hoarded resources. The Council maintained order through fear. It was efficient, but it was hollow, empty." He turned to face directly. "Then humans arrived. You were new, naive by Council standards. You didn't understand how things worked. And instead of learning the old ways, you showed a better path. You proved that compassion could move mountains, that standing for what's right matters more than calculating profit." His eyes were bright with emotion. 28 species have joined your coalition. 12 more have left the Council. The Empire's authority is crumbling. Species everywhere are asking themselves, why do we follow rules that lack compassion? Why do we value profit over life? You planted seeds of change, Captain Park, and they're growing throughout the galaxy. Looked out at the settlement. "I just hope it's enough. The Council won't give up power easily." "They won't have a choice," said confidently. "You've given the galaxy something it's never had before, an alternative. A system based on helping each other instead of exploiting each other. Some species will resist, yes, but many will embrace it. Change is coming, whether the Council wants it or not." Months continued to pass. The coalition grew stronger. New Haven became a symbol of what was possible when species worked together. Trade flourished between coalition members. Scientific knowledge was shared freely. Disputes were resolved through empathic mediation, where emotional honesty prevented misunderstandings. The Galactic Council tried to maintain its authority, but the cracks were showing. More species questioned why they followed a system that valued profit over life, why they paid tribute to a council that had stood by while they died, why they accepted a galaxy where compassion was seen as weakness. Some council members began secret talks with the coalition. They asked about joining, about bringing reform from within. It was a delicate balance, but progress was being made. One day received unexpected news. The Endeavor was being reassigned. Its new mission, seeking out other species in need, other forgotten peoples, other abandoned civilizations. Earth wanted to make sure that what happened to the never happened again. Assembled his crew, all of them had been with him from the beginning. "We have new orders," he told them. "We're going back out there, looking for others who need help. Are you with me?" They didn't hesitate. They had started this journey together. They would continue it together. The Endeavor's crew now included 3 members. Lyra, now 16 years old, had joined as a cultural liaison, served as an empathic specialist, and Keeper, despite his age, insisted on coming along as an advisor. "I've seen what humans can do," explained. "I want to help others experience it too. I want to show the galaxy that the old ways don't have to continue, that change is possible." On the day the Endeavor prepared to launch, thousands gathered to see them off. Humans and members of coalition species. They cheered and waved. This wasn't just a ship departing. It was a symbol of hope setting out to spread that hope to others. Admiral Sora gave a speech at the ceremony. 6 months ago, we faced the combined might of the Galactic Council because we believed that all life has value. Today, we've proven that belief can change the galaxy. The Endeavor goes out to find others who need our help. And wherever they go, they carry with them a simple message. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. Someone cares. The ship lifted off, rising into the sky of New Haven. Inside sat in the captain's chair, his crew around him. They were ready for whatever came next. "Captain," called from communications, "We're receiving a distress signal. Unknown species. They're calling for help. They say their sun is dying. They have 2 years before their planet becomes uninhabitable." Looked around at his crew, was already pulling up scientific data, was calculating rescue requirements, was organizing potential logistics. The crew members were preparing to offer their unique assistance. This was what they did now. This was their purpose, not because it was profitable, not because it was easy, but because it was right, because compassion demanded action, because every life mattered. "Plot a course," ordered, "maximum speed. Let's go show them they're not alone." The Endeavor jumped to hyperspace, disappearing into the stars. Behind them, New Haven continued to grow. The coalition continued to strengthen. The galaxy continued to change. And somewhere in the cold chambers of the Galactic Council, Arbiter watched reports of the coalition's growth. He felt something he had never felt before. Not anger, not fear, but recognition, understanding. The humans had been right. Compassion was not weakness. It was the strongest force in the galaxy. He thought about the emotions he had felt during the battle, the gratitude, the hope, the love between species who helped each other without demanding payment. It haunted him. It changed him. Made a decision. He began drafting a proposal for council reform. It would face opposition. Many would resist. But change had to start somewhere. Even the mighty empire could learn from humans, could learn that there was strength in compassion, power in protecting the weak, purpose in helping others simply because it was right. The galaxy was changing. It would take time. There would be setbacks, but the seeds had been planted, and they would grow. Because humanity had stepped in when no one else would. They had protected the abandoned. They had defended the forgotten. They had shown the galaxy that another way was possible. And the galaxy would never be the same again. Far out in space, the Endeavor continued its journey. Inside, Lyra taught human crew members a song and worked on new empathic training methods, ran security drills with crew from 3 different species, designed improved rescue equipment, and stood at the viewing window, looking at the stars, thinking about the next species they would save, the next people they would help, the next time they would prove that compassion was the greatest strength of all. The message had been sent, the example had been set, and humanity would continue to show the galaxy that when you stand for what's right, when you protect those who cannot protect themselves, when you choose compassion over calculation, you don't just change lives. You change the entire galaxy.